welcome along. It's episode 4 of the Wedding Help NI podcast. It's all about weddings, everything about weddings. We love weddings. And of course, you can get everything Wedding Help on the social media, the Facebook page, or you can find out all the information at www.weddinghelpni.com. Our fourth guest, it is Mark Barnes from Mark Barnes Photography. Welcome along, Mark. Yep. How's things?
All good, mate. Delighted to be here. As I say, thanks for having me. Living the dream as always.
This is different, isn't it?
Yeah, slightly.
We shouldn't be doing this. We just should be doing our own job.
Usually I'm used to seeing you hypnotising people on stage and I'm kind of snapping it. Or what you've done recently was you threw me under the bus and told the groom's mum that I was Simon Cowell, and then she came over, was touching me and stroking me.
What? That was a bonus for you?
That was a bonus. You know what? The funniest story being a couple of weeks after, the groom's sister booked me for a wedding, and I have to go and look at that woman again. Thanks for that, man. Yeah, so appreciate that there. Lovely. So I'll just get my own back live, just sort of on camera the way you did, So
I'm hoping they book me now.
I've advised them.
So tell us, let's go right back to the start, Mark. Yeah. Where did it all start out for you? How did you get into weddings? You've been doing weddings. You're young, but you've been doing weddings a long time.
I'll take the young. Like people, I'll tell you what, I've had a few insults in recent times. People saying I've aged terribly, but don't know if that's been around the weddings my whole life. For me, I have quite a unique story. As I say, I was mad about photography. I purchased my first camera when I was 10 years of age. Loved it, absolutely loved it. I had a family member who was in the wedding industry. So for me, I spent a lot of my sort of young life around weddings from the age of 10. Say photographed hundreds and hundreds of evening receptions just to sort of get my teeth into it. Loved it. I love people. I love having a crack. Love seeing that sort of party side of the wedding day as well. That's where the fun and games is. But I'd done that for a few years. Was earning a few quid as pocket money. All my friends were out having bit of underage drinking and going to youth clubs and stuff. Meanwhile, I was thinking, no, I can see the bigger picture in this. So I'd done that for a few years, and then one night a girl had came up to me, Paula, and said to me, I would love you to photograph my full day wedding. Obviously, we're live on air, so I'll not imagine what I said to her, but I says, literally at that moment, I was bricking myself at the thought of doing it. So I was 14 years of age when I came around to her wedding, and still remember it like it was yesterday.
14, you filmed your first sort of photography, you've done your photos. Mental. Like people, I said to people now, and I'm like a 14-year-old photographing, but different times. There was no social media, there was no YouTube. It makes me sound old now. There were no camera phones. Like we're talking about this day and age. 1800s, really.
Yeah. Black and white. I was still in the dark room. From under the stairs. Came out with my tripod. No. So literally that would be 21 years coming.
You actually invented the tripod.
So as I say, that was back in 2004. And the rest has been history. As I say, from there I kind of built it up. As I say, for me, I left high school without a qualification to my name. I was so invested in this, and for me, I've one of those personalities when I'm determined or I put my mind to something, I want it to be the best there is. So from there, I just grew the business gradually. Obviously, trying to get a 15-year-old job as a wedding photographer was difficult, but I managed to grow it into I'd done 10 weddings the following year, and then when I was 16, I'd done 20, and then all of a sudden, when I passed my driving test at 17,
it was just all go.
Yeah, it was all go from there. The rest is history. I was able to. It was funny though, going into couples, who are maybe 10, 15 years older than you, and sort of being that commanding presence on a wedding day that you have to be.
That is, it's funny. Like I know this just from performing at weddings. It is always a photographer, even as normally in charge of the videographer, as such. Because they sort of follow you near the videographer. Is always right in saying that?
100%. I always feel bad. I always wind videographers up about that. But for some reason, it is always the lead as the photographer. And obviously, for me, it's so important that you work as a sort of a partnership with your videographer, no matter who it is. If you've worked with them before, the first thing I'll do if it's a new person, I will always reach out to them. Because it's important, your teamwork at the end of the day. There's no egos here with me.
And I suppose even now there's content creators, there's a new one, but again, like that's sort of all falling in behind. Like it's all like sort of.
It's crazy.
The photos are really important as such. Do you know what I mean?
It's crazy. Sometimes you'll be doing weddings where you'll have 2 photographers, 2 videographers, and then on top of that a content creator. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I think when you have a team of 5, it can nearly be a wee bit overkill. But as you say, you have to be. At the end of the day, the priority is the couples, and I think sometimes people get lost in the translation of worrying about the images and worrying about the spots. And I'm like, listen, the first and foremost, it's it's the experience for the couples, making sure those guys are having a ball and enjoying one of the best days of their lives. That has to be the priority every time.
Yeah, and see for the photos, like it's really important as well to book you guys early, because you do book up, well in advance. Isn't that right in saying
it's
that?
crazy. It really is. Like, for example, 2025 for me is fully booked already. And I'm not, I always say, I educate a lot of photographers and say to them, never ever say that anywhere, because you never know what dates are still lurking out there. But for me, capping the numbers has to be a priority in regards to, so I can deliver the best service.
I suppose that's a bit different, because it's different for my sort of business, because like I go on and I do a 1 hour show after the meals. I can sort of book the capacity. But for somebody like yourself who's doing photos or you're doing video, you've all that editing to do. Your day isn't over. Once you've went home and you've done the day part as such, it's not over for you. It's only beginning, really. It's to get the things ready for the couples.
It's so true. It really is. I think sometimes when people book a wedding photographer, they see it as a 1 day service. For me, I will tend to meet 80% of my couples before their big day, because I find it so important, because out of all the wedding vendors that you will book on your day, you spend more time with your wedding photographer than anybody else. So for me, personality is such a huge thing, not just for myself, but for the couple. More importantly, they have to gel with me. I have to gel with them.
And I suppose that's something as well. Like I know whenever we got married, we met a few different photographers. And as you say, you want to feel that, I remember going to one of the photographers and just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. It wasn't. But then we went to the one that we picked and it was there. And
it's definitely, it's so important. And I said to people, like, I mightn't be everybody's cup of tea out there. For me, I'm all in when it comes to your wedding day. I'm all about the crack. I'm all about the banter. I mightn't be suited to maybe a super shy reserved couple. That being said, when I have worked with super shy reserved couples, in my opinion, I've brought the best out in them, because they maybe need that louder personality to sort of make them feel relaxed, and that horses for courses.
But that is a bit of advice as well. Look, we're not here to sell. Any of the vendors that come onto this podcast, it's not about selling them as a vendor. It is about selling them as a vendor, but be open to search about, see what suits you. See what suits your personality best.
Definitely. Like, for me, that is the priority, is making sure that couples find the right person for them, no matter who that be, whether it be myself or someone else. As I say, we are gifted in this country. Northern Ireland has such a pool of amazing talents in every walk of industry, in the wedding industry. So we are, and it's one thing I never take for granted. Like, there is a lot of super talented wedding photographers out there. As I say, a lot of them who I'm proud to sort of call friends and I've sort of reached out to over the years. And I think that's what's key is, for me, community over competition. There's plenty of work out there for everybody. And I think that's one point that's amazing about the likes of the Wedding Help NI group is, it's not a cutthroat market. There's a lot of people there who support one another. And as I say, I have a lot of friends in that platform. And that's the way it should be. You should be educating your couples and making sure that they have the most amazing day with the most amazing vendors.
Exactly. And do you know what? I suppose it's a good thing as well with the Wedding Help page. There's a lot of weddings we go along to and nearly everybody's in the Wedding Help community as such. So we all know each other, and I think we can work better
100%.
At times. We can definitely work better as we know we're at, that sort of way, and we can get a bit of advice the day, maybe of another offender, so if I arrive and it's run a bit late and stuff, you're going to tell me, this happened, everything
gives you a bit of feel. Like I said, there's many times I came up to you saying, geez, you're in for a cracking night tonight.
Exactly.
They're the best crack, they're a good fun crowd, and straight away you have a bit of inside knowledge to go, it's going to be class.
And you're letting me in all the secrets. So go on stage
100%.
and make it look like I know about Tell us, advise me on a wedding day for a bride or for a couple. Advise me how that starts, or I know you probably offer different packages, but advise me on sort of the most common package, or what you recommend. Go throughout the day.
Certainly. So for me, I kind of try to keep it as simple as possible, because it can be quite overwhelming. For me, I pride myself on wedding albums and wall prints and all that side of stuff. But I also tell couples when they come down to me, we'll not complicate it. We'll just talk about coverage, me coming to your day, photographing the day and editing the day itself and giving you the most incredible images and the most amazing experience and having a fun day with you. We can worry, as I say to all my couples, we can worry about all that stuff after, unless your heart's set on it and you want to build it into a package there and then. So for me, no matter what package you choose, they start off with morning preparations. So morning preparations would be whether it be a bride or a groom getting ready in the morning time, I'll be with them for the guts of 2.5 hours. For me, that is the perfect icebreaker. It's when I get to know the bridesmaids. It's when I get to know the parents. It's when I get to know everybody. And I've always an attitude that by the time the ceremony comes around, I'm already best mates with everybody.
And you have that feel?
Yeah, you do. You get that feel. You know, you've got that nervous energy. You can feel the emotion. Sometimes you can feel the fun, the crack, depending on obviously personalities.
Do you go between both? Do you know what? It's like we got married, like, you know, but it's I suppose I never see you to the evening, but you know, so I don't know how your day plans out until I meet you. But so do you go between both houses, or what way does that work?
I do. So it's funny, and I said this recently to photographers. That's how long I'm doing it. For the first maybe 5 years, I didn't actually do morning preparations. It wasn't a thing. It was once again, we copy a lot of American trends and a lot of American markets. And it used to be the thing the photographer came out in the morning time. It never used to be. It used to be the photographer who met you at the church or chapel beforehand, and the day would have been very staged and very formal. And you know, you would have had. I suppose
you get them nice sort of shots. I suppose, you know, or it's a bride at the family home in the morning.
Yeah, it's lovely.
You're going to get them shots that you know you would never have got, and them shots that, you know, well, it's with your mum and your dad and stuff.
Yeah,
the shots going to last forever. Like, do you know what I mean? They're keepsakes.
Oh, I love it. For me now, I can never imagine a wedding day without the preparation photographs. It's so important. It's all those details at the end of the day. From something so simple as the wedding dress hanging up, it's the most expensive bit of clothing you will ever own. Yeah. So of course you want that photograph in the best light. You want those little details. If you've maybe purchased expensive shoes, you want them to look cool. You just don't want them to look like a bog standard photograph. I try to photograph everything as creatively as possible. But it's also the atmosphere. It's just getting those candids of the hair and the makeup and all the madness of the morning has to entail. And then for me, it's always the calm before the storm. Then when the bride potentially is getting in their dress, and maybe it be her maid of honour or her mum is assisting her in their dress. And those moments are class, because that's when the emotion ramps up. And that's when you get those real natural moments. And then usually what I advise, if dad is there, we'll maybe do a first look with dad. As a proud dad of 2 daughters myself, that bit cripples me. Like, I think this year I've maybe cried about 12 times at that stage. I'm not afraid to admit it. You know, I say that real men cry. And it's crippling.
So if brides are booking you, there need to be somebody standing by a hanky.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's good. I can just hide behind the camera and they're like, Mark, are you okay there? And I'm like, no, I'm just having a wee moment here, you know. Just continue on, I'll be fine. But it is, and that's what I say to people. I really invest myself, you know, emotionally, and attach myself to the couples. I want to feel like I'm an extra family member who's there documenting your day. And I get that quite a lot from guests, and they say, oh, did you go to university with a couple, or did you know them from school? Or I'm like, no, I just met them at the studio beforehand. I got to know them. And kind of know their personalities.
And then I suppose it's going on then the ceremony.
So pretty much what I do with all my couples personally, I'll always give them like a little morning timeline, let them know what to have prepared for me while hair and makeup and stuff's happening, because there's a lot going on. It's a busy morning. And just say, listen, if you can have all your details, you know, your dresses, your shoes, your flowers, your jewellery. So once I get all that stuff, and obviously finishing off with the bride getting in their dress, maybe doing a first look with dad, and then at that stage that's my cue to go and head to the venue or head to the church or chapel or wherever your ceremony might be taking place. And then my key at that moment is, now don't get me wrong, there's other options out there about going off on a tangent about if you wanted an additional photographer to cover groom preparations in the morning and he's maybe further away. But at that stage, that'll be my time to get photograph of the groom and the groomsmen, to get candidates of your guest arriving, to get the ceremony setting, all those little details that you've spent a lot of money on. You know, all the personalised stuff. Like what seems to be a big trend at the moment is people seem to go for this wedding newspaper, where they'll have laid out in the ceremony, and it'll sort of give them a little timeline of the day, which is lovely. Maybe have nice, like engagement photographs on it and show where they got, you know, where the proposal happened. It just gives people a wee insight into the day before the ceremony's even kicked off, which is lovely. And as I suppose from there, it's then showtime. The bride will land in where bridesmaids, and it's ready to rock then. I
suppose then if brides are looking, like I know whenever I got married, the family shots, so we all done family shots and we got it out of the road, so we didn't have much to do. You're able to advise brides on that too and stuff, to try and make it that they can enjoy the day as much as possible too, you know.
100%. I get a lot of people say to me all the time, you know, Mark, do we need to write a list out of family members? And I say to people all the time, 95% of the time, I don't work off a list. Personally speaking, it comes with experience. But at the same time, once you go down that rabbit hole of making a list, it can become very formal, very staged, and very boring. So I'll always say to people, I will always concentrate on the VIPs first and foremost, being the couple, their parents, siblings, brothers, sisters, partners. Hopefully at that stage then, if partners aren't married, they get kicked out of a photograph. I can't be having any Photoshop request a year saying, listen, them two have split. Can you take them out of a photograph? Which is common practice. So I'm like, you guys married? Yep, you can make the cut then, get in, and you get. But realistically, it's parents, siblings, partners, children. Yeah. And then obviously any grandparents that are still with us are, for me, they are the most important people. But that being said, if a couple said to me, Mark, I want all my aunts and uncles and cousins, I'll generally say to them, listen guys, I'm speaking from experience, best advice, turf them on one big photograph. It's it all done, because if you start doing individuals, they're going to be queuing up like a conveyor belt, and you're going to do 22 different groups. Your day can get away from you like really quickly. Definitely. I think, that's it. I say to people, you don't want to turn in, you're paying me a lot of money, yes, but you don't want to turn into a photo shoot. You want to enjoy the day. You want to remember. I hear from too many couples that I meet on other weddings saying, I can't remember what my drinks reception singer sounded like, but we loved him. Why? What were you doing? You shouldn't have been away for it.
Do you know what? You see that at so many weddings. There's weddings Ireland now, and and I'm sure it's happened as well. Because brides will have requests that you have to do and you want to do as well. But you'll land and they'll go, they didn't get seated for dinner to such and such a time. So, it's running late now. The band's going to be a bit later and everything because of trying to get them.
Yeah, it's so true. It really is. It's
the wedding coordinators blame you at the hotel, so that must be what it is.
We're always the fall guy. I always say, see if something happens. It's always a domino effect. I always say, if her makeup takes a little longer in the morning time, that will obviously snowball into the rest of the day. And then obviously the hair makeup her way home. I'm the fall guy. I'm the guy going, here, any chance why'd you land in a half an hour late? For me, it's all about managing expectations. I know everybody works differently, but for me, it's having that happy medium. And I say to all my couples, you want awesome photographs because you're paying me, but at the same time, you want to enjoy your day. You don't want to be out. We're not doing Hello Magazine here. It's not it's that fine balance. And for me, I think I've perfected that over the years of getting awesome photographs, but also time they can mingle with their friends and family and have the crack.
But you'll go over it as well. You said it's all important there, the timeline, and you'll be able to sort of advise couples on a timeline to, for your photos and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes you have to manage, travel time from churches to the venue. Sometimes you have to ask what time meal call is. So you might be having a 2 p.m. ceremony. By the time a bride lands in 10 minutes late and the ceremony's over at 20 to 3, and all of a sudden meal call was 4 o'clock. You have a fine line then of an hour and 20 minutes to cover couple photos, family photographs, bridal party. And in which case then that's behind the scenes, you'll sort of see me liaising even with the hotel staff to say, can we push this back a half an hour? Because I kind of want the couple to enjoy their drinks reception.
And tell me this, so we didn't actually touch on packages. Is there different times that you can finish up at? So even for anybody that's booking a photographer, like I know there's photographers that'll do the speeches and that's them done on the way home. There's photographers that you'll see that'll be still there, first dance, maybe even a few dances in. Is there different, what should a bride expect in that?
That's a great question. For me, I offer two different packages in regards to coverage wise. So you've got from morning preparations up to your meal entrance. So that would be before your speeches. And then you've also got extended coverage, which I class as your speeches and right up to the first hour of your evening entertainment. And I say first hour because you hear a lot of people saying first dance. For me, I want to stick around for that next 45 minutes afterwards.
Maybe gather a few shots.
Yeah, a bit of the action stuff, you know what I mean? That's always when you sort of see a guest starting to put a tie around their head, thinking they're one of the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, and them all having the crack. If you've got a lively band or a lively DJ, that's the time when people start throwing a few shapes on the dance floor.
And as you get them great reactions as well. Like, you know what? There's always photographers that send me through stuff. And you know what? Like I never, whenever you're performing, you never catch it. You never see. And then like a photographer will send me through a picture, and I'm like, jeepers, look at that crowd. They're engaged. You don't realize, or you see the crowd laughing and stuff. Like I know whenever I'm doing my own show, I'm so caught up in what I'm doing. You don't really see the crowd. It's just you're too busy performing. You're too busy stuck on what you're doing. And photographers will send it through, and they're like, that looks classed, and so you get them shots.
100%. No, it's so true, Dale. At the end of the day, and I say this to all my couples as well, that 80% of your day with me maybe 85% would be documentary and candid. Like everything's all about storytelling and just letting it all unfold. And maybe I'm even guilty sometimes of not showing enough of that online, because sometimes people panic and go, oh, I just want a lot more natural moments. Like natural seems to be that bandied about word that you'll always hear.
But it can be lovely too. Like
it's class. I love it. I love getting candids and people mingle and having the crack with each other. And it's always that skill and timing it for the perfect moment when you know a laugh's about to come, because you know there's a clatter of fellas all having the crack around the bar.
Exactly.
And just getting that cool moment. And for me, you've also got the sort of hard hitting element of it, where I've done many a wedding. And I don't know who's a grandparent, I don't know who's an uncle, but they've maybe said to me afterwards, somebody passed away 6 months after the wedding. Not to turn this morbid, but you don't realise how important that little image.
By time.
And it's gripping. It hits me, honestly, it hits me hard sometimes when I think, you don't think on that wedding day when you took that photograph of the bride's uncle, for example, and all of a sudden the family cherish that photograph because that was him in his natural habitat, having to paint the black stuff and laughing away.
And you sometimes don't, you don't, like, it's not sometimes, you don't get them photos like that. You know, you're not going to get professional photos in everyday life. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know,
that's it. You know, you get a lot of people who put in their pricing section of their website as a photographer, and they call it an investment. And I think people sometimes look at that and go, is that like a real posh way of doing it? And they're like, no, it's not, because the reason they call it an investment is the photographs only go up in value. And it sounds quite salesy or cliche, but it's not. You know, personally speaking, I love looking at my wedding photographs from 9 years ago, and they're only going to get more important. You know, the people, and it really is hard hitting that way. But the people who are in them aren't going to be there forever. And I suppose that's to say that people don't really chat about much. And I said sometimes to couples when they're like, "Mark, we just want to get the families done and dusted as quick as we can," and I'm like, "Listen, guys, I'm with you. But see, if you don't get them, you're going to be struck off the Christmas card list, and two, you'll not realise how super important they are in 10 years' time."
Have you any advice, like, in ways of doing that? You know, because we always do, like, I chat about quickening things and keeping things at time. Like, I know at my own wedding, we tips, you know, so we didn't do the, you know, as you walk out of the ceremony, the shaking of hand.
Oh, the lineup, the good old fashioned lineup.
We didn't do it. We done it that evening. We done it that evening at the venue, and that saves so much time. So really there is tips that you can do that save so much time. You know, so you don't have to do that lineup and that thing. I know most of our family photos we done just after the ceremony. As the guests were leaving to go to the venue, we done all the family photos. Makes there.
Sense. I advise that. See if you're getting married in church and chapel, do that every time. Because people go missing. The first thing you do, see if there's any travel involved, people sneak off the Apple Green, they sneak off for a wee KFC because they're starving.
So we done that, we got it out of the way, and to be fair, you know, it worked really well for us. Like, so, and I think even brides getting married, so don't be scared to ask your vendors. They'll be able to advise you on all these wee tips. You know, if you have it in your head that you want your meal to be done at 7:30, you know, vendors can suggest things that'll make that work, you know.
Definitely. There's no question too silly, and that's the thing that's amazing about obviously the Wedding Help platform is that people will ask questions that maybe sometimes they feel frightened to go to their vendor directly, but they feel like as a collective people will give them the proper education and proper answer.
Of course.
And that's it. At the end of the day, you guys are the boss. You kind of have to be a wee bit selfish. And I says to my couples, you know, don't think that you have to walk around every single guest. They will come to you. Listen, you're there to enjoy your day.
Exactly.
Sometimes I get couples that are guilty of worrying about everybody else and themselves. And I'm like, listen, it's your day. Listen, just enjoy it. Go with the flow. You know, I always say when the evening comes, get on that dance floor. And if people want to be there, they'll be up dancing with you. They'll be having the crack with you, and they'll be, you know, making memories together. So, just enjoy it. Advice and
tips for brides.
Advice and tips from
whenever it comes to photography, I should say.
Yeah, I suppose it's photography, but I suppose it's overall can be used against any vendor. Realistically, for me, I know personally speaking, when it comes to booking anybody in life, and that wouldn't matter if it's someone in the wedding industry or a joiner coming to fit a kitchen, I will always review them. I think reviews are so important, and word of mouth reviews are obviously gold. You know, that's for me, 98% of my bookings come through referral, whether that be word of mouth, whether it be a venue recommending me, whether it be another wedding vendor recommending me, or more importantly, social media, Facebook reviews, Google reviews. And people seeing your work on social media is massive. But for me, that is so important. I can't sort of strive that enough. You get a feel for someone. If someone reads my reviews, it always hits home to me in Google because it will highlight the buzzwords, and it's always like laugh, crack, relaxed, you know, and that's the words that I want to be associated with. How relaxed it made people feel, how fun it was, the experience, and how much crack and laughing people done. Like that's, you know, I don't take myself too serious. I want people to enjoy the experience. I want people to love the photographs. But I want them to have an amazing, memorable day, and that's what it's about.
And where can people find your own work on?
Yeah.
What's your socials or your?
Yeah, so obviously I have my website, which is obviously the backbone and foundation of most people, which is markbarnesphotography.co.uk. But for me, I'm such a big lover of social media for my business. I think Instagram for me is my biggest driver because with Instagram it's visual.
That's the photos as such.
You can click onto my profile, which is at Mark Barnes Photo. You can scroll down and you can see, they've got nearly 1,000 posts. So when you've scrolled down after 10 minutes if I'm the guy for you, because you'll be scrolling down going, and you can resonate with the work and go, I love this. This looks class.
And I suppose, like what we said as well whenever we started this podcast, this is a great way as well for couples to find that, if you know that personality is for your wedding, because I think this is more about getting to know you rather than knowing your business as well. So I think this is a great sort of platform as well for brides to watch. So that's a good thing for wedding help, isn't it?
100%. It's weird, deal. I have this fear, and I say to people all the time, they look at me and go, "Oh, Mark, you're super confident. You can do it." And I'm like, "Listen, this is pushed out."
Just bluff this.
No, 100%. This is all facade. No, and I say to people, it's all about pushing outside your comfort zone. I hate doing live stories, chatting to a camera on my phone.
I know.
There's something just really weird about that. But us having
exactly the same sort of.
Us having a chat like this is a hell of a lot easier. But it's nice. You have to put yourself out there. At the end of the day, I can't let on to be shy and reserved. And then when you see me on the wedding day, go, "Geez, that guy's a different kettle of fish." And I say, when I meet people in my studio, as I say, I have a double-story home, purpose-built studio at my home. So I welcome people there, and straight away, I'm selling a personal service. I want people to come to my home, come and meet me, see the kind of level of professionalism that I have even in my home studio, the work that I'm producing. But I want people to feel relaxed and go,
we're proud of our work. It's not what you actually see on the outside of it.
I feel like it's a Northern Irish thing sometimes where we don't want to sing our own praises. We're a society where people don't ever like to gloat. And I get that. It's kind of like you stay humble. But you have to listen, if you're good at what you do, you have to, nobody else is going to sing your praises half the time. So you have to, shout your name from the rooftops sometimes. So
I think we've covered loads. Is there anything else you can tell us about? Is there anything else that you want to talk about? What to try to advise couples on? Or is there anything else that you?
Yeah, I suppose realistically, obviously this will be touched on many podcasts when it comes to wedding planning. But the first thing I would say, obviously, when couples get newly engaged and they go, right, we're jumping into the world of wedding planning, they'll always speak to family and friends who've done it before. But I always put myself in the shoes of those couples who've never done it. Obviously, they're budgeting, they're writing out their guest list, they're going to view venues. The first thing, obviously, being a photographer, we are at the top of the list when it comes to booking early doors, your vendors. So 9 times out of 10, when couples book me, they'll literally only have their venue booked, and then they'll come to myself.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more gutting when I'm already booked, and that's, I suppose,
I know. And you know what? It's funny. You know yourself. There's dates that just go so quickly.
So popular.
It's there's dates that you can book 10 times over. They're just that them. There's just
big time. I use similar. I'm a real stats nerd and real numbers guy. So I use software called Studio Ninja, and for me, the best feature being once that date's gone, it's gone. You can only be in one place in one day, as I say to people. And that's the most important thing. So if someone books me for their wedding in 2027, for the next 2 years, I'm going to be dealing with inquiries for that date. And, it's away, because the minute it loads onto my system, it's coming up with the no entry symbol saying no room at the end. But it's so important. But I love looking at the statistics, because it'll tell you, 9 different couples inquired for that date. It lets you see all the different venues and where you get throughout the year. And it's
that's
awesome.
Very good.
It's awesome.
I must look at that.
Definitely, it's awesome to reflect. It gets this time of the year, and you sort of reflect over what an epic year it's been. And you sort of go, geez, was that long ago? And it's magic. It really is. Like, I never take this for granted. Like, I love what I do. I genuinely love what I do. And
you met your wife. I did. At a wedding, is that right?
I did. This story's been documented on a few podcasts over the years. She hates this too. So yes, my wife is Danielle. She's actually in the wedding industry as a wedding celebrant. Tie the knot, shameless plug. But yeah, as I say, I met Danielle on the 16th of July 2010 at a wedding I was photographing. She was an evening guest. yeah, I was photographing it and I had up the
And did nobody tell her to run it? Was there no war feathers about there? Could advise her?
You have to remember, Dale, I was fresh-faced. I was a 20-year-old fresh-faced, had the world at my feet.
So what you're saying is there was no war feathers there to tell her?
No, there was nobody else there, pretty much, thankfully there was no sort of social media. It was only coming into its sort of early doors stage, Right. Nobody could warn her.
But that's amazing. So you met your wife then at a wedding that you were doing.
It's crazy. Yeah, I met her then. As I say, geez, the rest is history. Literally, we've been inseparable ever since. Married 9 years. 2 children later, 2 gorgeous girls, Scarlett and Olivia.
But you both like I know you and you both love for the what you love the wedding industry. He's really he's very passionate about it.
It's amazing. It really is. Honestly, it's incredible. Even so much so, and this is where I sort of pour my heart and soul into it. I'd done a wedding in Cyprus there a couple of years back, and the couple Lindsay and Mark, who I knew of but didn't know them in any great capacity. As I say, they came to our studio a couple of times, and Lindsay was very kind to say, listen, Mark, I've looked into it about flying you over for the wedding in Cyprus, and it's going to work out the same kind of price to bring your family over, and we'll have them as wedding guests. And I was blown away. My youngest daughter at the time was 3 months old, but anybody that knows me knows I love a holiday. And I said, listen, I am so flattered. Thank you so much. Not only to get paid for the job, but also get flown over for a holiday. It was amazing. So we ended up going to the wedding. And we had the best time ever. And so much so that they're good family friends of ours now. We're in Disneyland Paris at the start of the year. And I'm kind of and it takes a certain type of personality. I know for some people that's their worst nightmare, getting invited to a wedding, being surrounded by strangers you've never met before. Yeah. But for me, I love it.
You enjoy that?
I love meeting new people. That's the end of the day. That's what life's all about, seeing all those different personalities and having a crack with people. And, you just hit it off with certain folk and, you gel, and that's class. So me and Danielle are it's kind of that argument who speaks more. She tells me it's me, but I don't know, with good rivalry.
There you go. So that's Mark Barnes Photography, and they can get you online.
Yep, as I say, Instagram, Facebook, website, TikTok. I have to adapt now and stay current with the kids, you know what I mean, Dale? I used to be the young gun, but
I love TikTok's brilliant.
It's class. You go down a rabbit hole though quickly. You just kind of swiping down.
I've got a few bookings off it, and it's amazing to see.
It's incredible. I feel
it just shows.
I feel like the sort of power it has, the algorithm seems to know you so well. If it knows you're talking about wedding planning to your friends and family, all of a sudden you open TikTok and it's kind of like everything's wedding related.
You know what? We're going on holidays now in Sunday, and the place we're going, it's just up every day.
Yeah, awesome. Where are you for? You're not for Lanzarote, are you?
No, we're for New York, and you just see New York coming up every TikTok, and you're like, what's going on here?
You're seeing all the Home Alone music, Rockefeller tree, and
exactly. Summertime's coming up.
Amazing, amazing. No, amazing. Well, listen, as I say, for anybody, I suppose the final thing that I want to touch on is just obviously what an amazing platform that the Wedding Help NI is. As I say, for any couples on there looking at advice and looking for vendors, it is without a doubt the best place to go to when it comes to it. As I say, obviously I know Chris from working in the wedding industry, and he has put a heck of a lot of work.
Big time.
He should be very proud.
Awards was amazing too.
It was unbelievable. Obviously, it was a double bonus for me scooping photographer of the year.
I know.
But regardless, win, lose or draw, and that's what I say to people, it's all about just being there, being present, and joining in this amazing community.
Exactly.
It is, at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat. We all do the same job. It can be a lonely world sometimes, and that's why I think that networking is so important. And to have that as well, not only with the couples who are coming on the book, but also have it with the different wedding vendors that are there, and make friends that way as well.
Brilliant.
So, amazing.
I think we've got everything.
Awesome.
That is episode 4 of the Wedding Help NI podcast, and that is it, done and dusted. My name has been Dale Thomas. Mark Barnes Photography, thank you so much. Remember, do keep online as well on our social media, on our Facebook page, and at our website, www.weddinghelpni.com. See you all later. Bye-bye.